Welcome to all, myself Professor Sheikh Isaac Sayyed. I am going to teach about Oh My Love is a Like a Red Red Rose poem which is written by Robert Burns. This is for the FYB class for the Pune University. You can imagine Oh My Love is a like a red red rose. This line shows about or talked about that the poet has compared his love with a red red rose. You can see that here how the poet is showing a love to her. Now we will discuss about Robert Burns. So he was born in 1759 in Alloy, Scotland. His father was tenant farmer who taught his children at homes. Burns also studied for a year in the school started by his father and John Woodach. John Woodach was his father's friend who was neighbor to him. He taught him mathematics to him or all his children. Poverty and struggle in his early life would later take on his health. You can imagine how he has died in his life, how he has ended his life with a disease. Between 1784 and 1785, he wrote a lot of poems, many of which were collected in his first book, Poems, chiefly in the Scottish dialect. So all the poems which are written in Scottish dialect. So in the Scotland language, or many of their poems also written in English, but they are in a list, which became an interest, success, and Burns was celebrated in Scotland and England as a great peasant poet. He is known as a great peasant poet because he has written more about the peasants, farmers, or he has also influenced with his father because his father was a farmer and he also worked as a farmer. So he is known as a peasant poet. Burns is among the best known poet who has written in the Scottish language. So Burns has written many poems which are in Scottish language, means Scotland language. So he has also written in English language but in a less. Although much of his writing in English, his poems celebrated traditional Scottish culture and document expression, farm life, class, religious distinction. So like Indians, the Indian writer or the poets have depicted their life, their cultures, their thoughts, their feelings in their poems, in their novels, in the dramas. Like the Burns also has depicted his poems or depicted his culture in his poem, like farm life, class, religious, the middle class family. He was also belonged to the middle class family. So he has discussed more about middle class family and his farm life. There were many writers who influenced to Robert Burns, such as Shakespeare, Dryden, Milton, because he has read most of their works, and these works helped him to write his poems. So he more influenced by his father also, because he has learned also more about from his father, because his father taught him many lessons in his life. So we will discuss about the poem Red Red Rose. The poem Red Red Rose, which is written in 1794, this is a lyrical poem. This poem opens with the speaker comparing his love to a red red rose or melody. In the beginning of first paragraph, we can see that how the poet has discussed his love. He has discussed his love with a red rose or melody. In the third or fourth stanzas, in the second and third stanza, the poet has discussed about how much he loved to her. And in the last stanza, fourth stanza, poet has discussed the farewell. He is going away from her. So you can see the poem opens with the speakers comparing his love to a red red rose and to a melody that sweetly played in a tune. In the second and the third stanza, the poet speaker described how deep his love is. and it's deep. He will love his bonny lass. Bonny lass means beautiful girl, beautiful lady. As long he is alive, and until the world ends, at the end, he says that he will love, return, even if he has to walk 10,000 miles. So we can see that this poem is about love and the separation. How he has described his love to her, or he has compared his love with the melody, with the red rose, and how much he loved to her. And in the last line, he is going away from her. He says that even I am going away, or even I am going 10,000 miles away from you, then I will come to you. Next is I am going to explain about a red rose poem. So I am going to read poem. Oh my loves, like a red rose that newly sprung in a June. Oh my loves, like a melody that sweetly played its tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in a love I am. And I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas can dry. Till all the seas can dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run, and fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well awhile. And I will come again, my love, thou it were 10,000 miles. This is the poem. This is a lyrical poem which is written in 1794 by Robert Burns. So I will explain stanza by stanza or line by line. First 4 lines are, oh my love is like a red rose that sweetly sprung in a June. So here poet compared his love with a red rose. He has used simile in the first line. Simile means there is a comparison between two things. There is a comparison between two objects with the help of words like or. So here poet has used simile. He has compared his love with a red rose. Here he has used the word like. So it is simile, figure of speech has used by Robert Burns. So the poet has compared his love with a red rose that newly sprung in a June. The rose which was sprung in a June. That rose is so fresh. So that's why he has compared his love. That he also saying that his love is so fresh like a red rose. His love is starting now. So he has used simile, or he says that his love is like a red rose which is newly sprung. Okay, to the next slide. Oh my love, like the melody. Melody means sweet music that sweetly played with tune. Melody, which that means a sweet music that was created by the musicians. The musicians have created the sweet music. She is also like a melody. Her voice is like a melody. So the poet compasses his sweet words of love in the following verses. He loves the young lady beyond the measures. Through vivid similes and hyperbolic comparisons, he has also drawn his love to the springtime, rosy youth, or true sweet melodies, tunes. His lady love is as fresh as a new sprung roses, or as sweet as those of a melodious tune. So in that first stanza, the poet has compared his love with a red rose or melody. So he has used, in that first stanza, he has used simile, figure of speech, or poetic devices. Next 4 lines. As fair art thou, my body lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas can dry. So you can see that art means art, thou means you, and the body means beautiful, lass means lady. These are old words, Art, thou, bony, and the lass. These are the old words which are used by Robert Burns. So art means art, thou means you, bony means beautiful, lass means lady or a girl. So here poet says that you are so beautiful That's why I'm in love with you. You are so beautiful. You look like so beautiful. That's why I love to you. So I'm in a deep love with you. And I will love thee still, my dear, till A apostrophe means all. A apostrophe means all. The C's gan means became. So here poet says that he will love his beloved, his dear, till all the seas can dry. These are things cannot be happen in the world. So seas cannot be dry in the world. So he is saying, he is emphasizing his love. How he is saying how much he loved her, that he will love her all the seas can dry. But you know that the seas cannot be, or never, it cannot be dry any time. So next the poet addresses directly his lady as a bony lass or pretty, and asserts his love in hyperbolic terms, that he would continue his love till all the seas go dry. The infinite urge of love and its permanency can be copied from these statements. So in this stanza we can see that, we can understand, we can imagine that how much he loved her, how much loved her. Okay, next. Till all the seas can dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sea, while the sands of life shall run. Here also poet repeated the line, these till all the seas can dry. He has emphasizing more about her love, how much he loved her. So he has repeated this line, till all the seas can dry. And till the rocks melt with the sun. He has also used hyperbolic language. Both lines are hyperbolic. Rocks cannot be melted with the sun. These things also cannot be happen in the world. Same thing he has used. I will love thee still, O my dear, while the sands of life shall run. We can imagine that the poet has used also hyperbolic language, that sands of life shall run, and he will love until the sands of life shall run. The speaker continues his exaggerating moods linked to the previous stanza and states that he will continue to love his lady till the rocks melt, where or life leads to the deserts of death. Sands of life probably means the passage of time, which is compared to the vast desert land. Okay, next. And fare thee will, O my only love, and fare thee will awhile, and I will come again, my love, to it were 10,000 miles. This is the last stanza of the poem. In that poem, he is talking about farewell. He is going away from her. So he says that fare thee will, thee means you, will means well. Fare thee will, only my love, fare thee will awhile. He says that I am going away from you. He might be going to a war. And I will come again, my love. He says that he will come again to beat her. Though it were 10,000 miles, even if he is away from 10,000 miles away from her. So in that last stanza, the poet says goodbye to his beloved, to his love, but he swears to return even if he has to travel back 10,000 miles. He tries to imply a deep, undying statement that through the desert of death, he will have to travel miles toward the uncanny, unknown, transitional worlds. He will return for his love. So in that poem we have studied, in the first stanza the poet has compared his love with the red rose, with the melody that sweetly played in a tune. In the second and the third stanza, how the poet has said that how much he loved her. He says that he will love to her till all the seas can dry, rock melt with the sun, and the sands of life shall grow. And in the last stanza, he says he is going away from her, and how he will come to her even if he is away from to her. Okay, we will discuss next about poetic devices used in the poem or major themes in the poem. Robert Burns has used two themes in the poem, love and the separation. We have seen in the beginning that how much love he loved to her, and how in the separation means in the last stanza he is separating from her, he is living from her. So there are two things used in the poem by Robert Burns. First one is love and the second one is separation. So love and the separations are the major themes given in the poem. The poet has layered them with using metaphors of a natural object. The poem is primarily concerned with the speaker's love for his significant other, and he adores her beauty and expresses his immeasurable love for her. His love is so deep-rooted that he will stay forever no matter what happens. So you can see that the love and the separation are the two themes, major themes used by the Robert Burns, or in the examination they can ask you the questions, explain the major themes used in the poem A Red Red Rose by Robert Burns. So there are two major themes, the love and the separation. Next, poet analysis of literary devices in a poem Red Red Rose. So there are many literary devices or figure of speech used by Robert Burns in that poem. So literary devices are most important in the poem. They like ornaments to the poem. They can express their feelings, ideas, emotions with the help of poetic devices. So let's know about the literary devices. Literary devices are the tools that enable the writers to present their ideas, emotions and feelings, and also help the readers to understand those more profound meanings. Robert Burns has also used some literary elements in the poem to show the beauty of the beloved and intensity of his love. So literary devices are help to understand the emotions, the feelings, the idea of the poet or the reader. So next, first, the poetic devices used by Robert Burns is similes. I have already told you about simile, that simile is a figure of speech or poetic devices, means there is a comparison between two things, two objects with the help of the word or line. For example, I wandered lonely as a cloud. In the poem Daffodils used by the Wordsworth, he has compared his walking with the cloud. Same way in the poem, Robert Burns has used a simile. He says that his love is like a melody. His love is like a red red rose. So two similes are used by Robert Burns. First one is oh my love is like a red red rose, and second one is oh my love is like a melody. So simile is a device used to compare an object or a person with something else to make the meanings clear to the readers. There are two similes used in the poem. The first used in the first line, oh my love is like a red red rose. Here the poet compared his beloved with a red rose. The second is used in the third line, oh my love is like a melody, and the poet compares his love with a sweet melody. Okay, next, poetic devices is consonance. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, such as sound of L in the line and fare the will a while. Okay. So he has also used the consonants. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sound. You can understand C and the C. Consonants it with the consonant. So he has used and fare the wheel a while. Next, enjambment. Enjambment refers to the continuation of a sentence without a pause beyond the end of a line, couplet or stanza. So enjambment is the continuation of a line. We can continue a line of the poem or anything without any pause, without any stop. So couplet means there is a two lines, stanza means there may be a line of 4 lines. So in that poem, Robert Burns has used enjambment in a line. Oh my love is like the melody that sweetly played in a tune. Next, symbolism. Symbolism means to use of a symbol to signify ideas and the qualities, giving them symbolic meaning different from their literal meanings. Robert has used rose as a symbol of love. So we can understand the rose is a symbol of love in the whole poem. The poem line is oh my love is like a red rose or a red rose. And in the beginning of the line, poet has used the symbol rose as a love. Next, alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound in the same line, such as the sound of L and R. Robert Burns has also used the alliteration in his poem. So, oh my love is like a red rose. Here, L and the R is repeated all the time. So next, hyperbole. In the whole poem, poet has used hyperbolic language. He has exaggerated to the things, to the line, to the poem, to the love. So in that poem, poet has used hyperbolic language. For example, till all the seas gone dry, rocks melt with the sun, and the sounds shall run. In that poem, these 3 hyperbolic language has used by Robert Burns. Okay, next is assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sound in the same line, such as for example, in that poem, poet has used sound I. For example, I will love thee still, my dear. These are the poetic devices used by Robert Burns in that poem. So I will discuss 2 most questions for the examination. The first is explain the poem as a love lyric or explain the poem as a love, or second one is use how the poet has used poetic devices in that poem, or explain the figure of speech in that poem. Okay, thank you.